Oh, how long's the show?
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for Avoid the Maze, that journey through life. And I'm going to tell you guys, when you're listening today, you're going to want to share this podcast with everyone you know. Now, Tim James says he's also known as the health hero. And just the story he told me about what happened this morning, Tim, you definitely are. I mean,
Thank
you
you.
know, when you think of somebody or a living being ill, okay? Western medicine says you call the doctor, you go to the ER, you go to the pharmacy. But in this case, you helped a dog through a healing process that you didn't have to go to the ER. You didn't have to give him chemicals. And now this dog is running around after being close to death.
Yeah, so it's one of my workers on the farm here. We have a chemical-free regenerative farm that we're building, besides my other company with the detox and nutrition products. And I've got a new gal on staff here, and her little 8.5-month-old lab shepherd got parvo. It's been sick the last few days. And I will say this, Western medicine has its place. Okay, it definitely does.
Sure.
And we need it. We definitely need it. And one of the reasons why is because the dog was dehydrated severely. So they were able to give her an IV and share with her how to administer the IV just to get some fluids in the dog. Okay. But parvo's a killer and it takes dogs out. And so they did give her some synthetic medications. And when I got home, because I was out trying to help a friend purchase a travel trailer, 3 hours away, I got back and I got thrown into this whole thing. And I'm just like, I called my buddy who's super into dogs and animals, and we did not have um, this homeopathic medicine available because it's 11 o'clock at night. It's Arnisicum album. It's and 200 C was the amount he suggested. So we actually because we believe in energy and frequency and that we're all connected and in prayer and meditation and thought and all that. So he had us write it on a piece of paper, the name of what we wanted, and hold it on the dog's belly and meditate for 30 seconds to heal that dog. And then I also, one of our products is a very special nano silver product that works on viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, unit, and all kinds of stuff. But this was a virus, and we gave the dog an ounce of that, and we're going to continue to give an ounce every three times a day. I got that from the doctor whose dad invented the product, and the dog woke up this morning and his head was up, and I just walked. Just when we were starting to talk, and I watched Martina and Walker. She was walking the two dogs down the road, and the dog could not. It was like bedridden yesterday. It was bad. So yeah, there are other alternatives, and I know people think I might be saying some woo-woo stuff, and I get it because I grew up on a cattle and hay farm here in Eastern Oregon, hunting and fishing my whole life. Old school, redneck, all this woo-woo BS isn't, and I've had to come to heels with this because I've been, shown many times over and over and over that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, and most of society doesn't from the societal conditioning and the parental conditioning. And that if you just look around and you go to the grocery store and you see how poor people's health is, I mean, for God's sakes, a half of us are going to get cancer now. The stats keep skyrocketing. And by the year 2040, 2050, 62 to 70% of people will have cancer. It will be as common as the common cold. And whereas the turn of the century, when we had none of these medical breakthroughs, 2 to 3% of people had cancer. So what's changed? What's going on? And I've discovered over the last 13 years through my own healing journey, not only the answers for me, but the answers for other people that are open, that want to look at nature, that want to look into their heart, and that want to look into taking 100% control of all aspects of their life, all aspects, their relationships, their spiritual path, their health, their finances, all this stuff. And it's been a wonderful journey. I've been able to completely reinvent myself many times over through this process and build up my self-confidence to get to the point where I can go out now and just, just create the energy for other people to put them into a space where they realize that, gosh, I can do this. I can do this. If this dude that was so repressed and so negative towards all this stuff can open his heart and his mind to these things and transform, maybe I can too. And then we just like to give them the little simple baby steps and get them moving in the right direction so that they can have an exciting life filled of joy and synchronicity.
Well, and in today's society, if we can be mindful of other opportunities and options out there, we can be a lot healthier. And that's one of the things that I talk about in Avoid the Maze is that, sometimes we get so set in our ways that this is, what we have to do. This is what we have to eat. These are the hours we have to work. And we get so caught up in it, we don't look around us and say, what else can I do? And I have a son who's in his early 30s who was diagnosed at the age of 6 on the autism spectrum. One day, he was a normal, typical child. The next day, he was autistic. He didn't change. He was the exact same kid. But the teachers didn't like the fact that his eyes wandered in class. When the fire alarm went off, he put his hands over his ears. So he's sensitive to a few things. But when they gave him that label, along with that label came a lot of chemicals. And he learned when he was 25 years old, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And he found that better way. He doesn't take all the chemicals, and his doctors now agree he doesn't need them. But what he had to do was create a toolbox of learning how to live his life more comfortably, enjoyably, and become the success that he wants to become.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. And it sounds like that's what your journey was, that it didn't happen overnight when you decided you needed to make these changes, correct?
No, there was many layers of the onion that had to come off and still is coming off today. Even in the back of my mind when he said, "Hey, is this girl open to, frequency and healing and prayer?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, she's way open-minded." He's like, "Hey, let's do it. Put her on speakerphone." And this guy is a ex-military intelligence officer, and he has a company that helps pet dogs and cats, and that's his passion. And he's connected to like the Superman of homeopathic vets in the world. The guy's like over in Europe somewhere, and the guy's just amazing. He's 30 years in homeopathic medicine, and he's taught me many things about how to take care of your dog, my dog, and my dog. I'm like, he's like, Tim, only raw food for your dog, only raw food and homeopathics, and you got to find a good homeopathic veterinarian. And I switched my dog over to raw food, and when I said, and just like my dog got better, like my dog is so much better. And when people see her, they're like, your dog's 13? Are you serious? Like she's a lab. She just runs around. I mean, she's getting older. She's her, I don't think she's losing her hearing a little bit. She's not quite as spry. But that's she's been also taking care of my dad, who doesn't get around much, and I've been gone. And so my dad kind of and my mom adopted my dog, basically absconded her from me because our dogs used to come out for like 2, 3 weeks in the summer and be like a vacation with grandma and grandpa. And then as my dad got older and his health was failing, I said, "Hey, can you watch my dogs for? I got to go help these people." There was a guy that had severe stomach issues. I was going to live at his house for a month, who was a friend. And then this other guy who was a successful businessman, but he had gotten bipolar and has just lost his wife to cancer. He needed support. And then my other friend Lynn, who had got developed breast cancer, and I went to help these people. Well, that one month each, 3 month journey that I thought that my mom and dad could watch the dogs, but they were like, yes, yes, of course. Yeah, we'll take them. Turned into like almost 3 years living with these people and helping them get completely healed. And, me being this Rhodes Scholar now, living in people's homes and going through these processes with them through the detoxification and the family issues and how to respond differently to stress and all this stuff. And then when I came back, I'm like, okay, I need my dog. And my dad's like, you can't take her. I need her. So she became my support dog. So I wasn't able to exercise her at the level that I wanted to. So that is an important part. And so that dog, on a higher level, made that sacrifice for my father and my mother. And but now I'm back home. I bought the farm and we do the exercise deal. And she's doing great. She's doing really good. So
That's good. So let me ask you this question. When you were growing up, who did you think you wanted to be? Not what
I
you
had
wanted to be, but who you
yeah.
wanted.
I had no idea. I had no idea. I literally, part of my formula that I follow now for life is to follow my highest excitement, the best of my ability, with zero insistence on an outcome. And I was kind of doing that when I was a kid. I just did what I liked, playing my toys or playing with my friends. And then I liked sports. So I played baseball and football. I played baseball at a very high level for 30 years. And then I got excited about money. It was kind of like, okay, you gotta make money, so you gotta support. And then I had a kid and like, okay, I need to really hunker down here. And I had a goal to make $1 million a year in sales. That was my goal. And it was kind of the problem is that what I've learned, Karen, is that money is not it is not bad. Okay, it is not bad. It is a valid form of abundance in this time space reality, but there are many other forms of abundance that get discarded or blocked off because we make money. When we make money, the only way in which abundance can come to us, we're literally locking and closing all of the other doors in which it can come, be it money, be it somebody gifting us something, be it somebody being at the right place at the right time, and the synchronicities of life. And so I went through this process where after I started on this healing journey of my body and I got woke up to like all this stuff I've been lied to about, and then I actually did heal myself and watched my friend heal himself of this incurable cancer right in front of my face with no chemo, no surgery, no nothing, just on his own, de-stressing nature and major detoxification. I started becoming charged up and energized, and I wanted to share this with people. And then all of a sudden, money became this evil thing. I was like, money was bad. So I stayed away from money for 5.5 years, and I lost all my money. It just went away. And I was a financial advisor and I was a very good saver and I had a lot of assets, and it all just kind of melted away. And then I changed, and then I realized that through a mentor that it is a valid form of abundance, and but I don't have to make it the only form. It's just one of the ways in which things can come to me now. So I've went through this whole transitional period of like my belief systems around money, and so growing up now, like, what did I want to be? Besides the money, now I just want to, I know, and it took me almost like 45 years and I'm still evolving because I just want to help people live their best life. I want them to wake up and life is like a big empty, blank canvas, and you get to create and paint whatever you want, and turn life into an ecstatic explosion of joy and synchronicity. And if you don't have that, you can. It is possible. It doesn't matter where you're at in life. It's like you are a gift. I mean, creation does not make mistakes. God does not make mistakes. So if you're here for a purpose, and that purpose is to remember what you truly are at the core being, and that's unconditional love. That's it. We got to get out of the head, get back into the heart, and start moving towards that beacon of love. And when you do that, you'll find out everything will start working for you. And I've watched this with 700 coaching students through this process, and it's been amazing. It's tremendous, and I love it. And the cool thing is once you get lit up, you're like a light, and a little light in a dark room will light up the entire room. And you can go around and start lighting up other people just simply by your actions. You're literally handing out permission slips. People look at you and like, there's something special about her. There's something special about him. What have you been doing? Oh my God, your career's taking off. You're losing weight. You healed yourself of that incurable blah blah blah. And it's like you fixed your relationship, or you got a better relationship and you're way better. Wow, you stood up for yourself. You became so strong. How are you so strong? And then these things just start snowballing. And then all these people around you, you start lighting them up, and it doesn't dim your candle one bit. You can literally light up a million people's candle, and it doesn't take anything away from you. If anything, it grows your candle and you become more powerful. And
You
that's
know,
what we need today.
yep,
That's where we
we
need
do.
to be. We need to light our candles, and we have got to get out there and help people because the world is suffering, but we don't want to live in that. We just see it and recognize it as contrast, giving us the energy to go out and be the light.
You know, I keep talking about the fact that we are not aging, we are evolving. Because when you talk about aging, you see it from birth to death. And in between, there's some wilting. To me, it's all about evolving. And we can evolve into different aspects that we never even thought we would be. I know when I was in high school, getting ready to graduate, I came home and told my parents, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to get my degree in communications. And my parents looked at me, and this was 1968. There were very few women in broadcasting. And my father said to me, you're not going to waste our money. You can go to school and become a teacher, or you can go out and get a job. So I fooled them. I went to school. I took my communication courses. There was a 2 year degree. I snuck through that degree. And at the end of it, my parents said, we're not going to waste any more money. Go get a job. They took that back many years later. But at that time of their life, they didn't see what I could do with this. When I finally started using my education and doing what I felt I needed to do, I didn't know it was my passion, but that's what it was. And that is what has gotten me to where I am today. And that passion didn't always end up with a bank wad of money, but I've been happy because I've been able to seek what is rooted inside of me. So we have to stop listening to all the talk that's around us because the talk isn't always beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times when people are talking, all they're doing is throwing up and projecting all their garbage onto us. And we, without knowing, because we've been trained by, again, society and parents, we just grab it and pick it up and throw it on and we get this big heavy load. It's other people's crap. And whether it's even your best friends and your family members, it's their crap. They literally have nothing to do with your happiness. Literally. It's all how we respond to things. It's something I've learned. It's very profound. It puts you in the driver's seat. It puts you in complete control of your life. And the reality is like, you know, I learned a definition of abundance, and I think is important to share right now because of what you just said about you've been happy,
Yeah.
right? The only thing that matters is really being happy and healthy and feeling good in the present moment. If you have that, if you can have a joyful, pleasant life and you have good friends and you feel good about everything, that's all everybody wants, right? So the definition I heard of abundance is this: abundance, the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Period. That is the definition of abundance. The ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. And in that definition, I didn't say anything about money. I didn't say in any that definition in any way or particular way in which the abundance had to come to you. It's just simply the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it, and it doesn't matter how it comes. This is the reason why I was talking about money being the only way in which things can come to us. When you focus on that being the only way, you're locking all these other doors. Okay. I just put an ad up 3 weeks ago because I've been helping people with their gut health and heal themselves and lose the weight and improve their skin and fibromyalgia and arthritis and blah, 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 you name it, the breakdown of the human body. And we've helped people guide them, not a doctor. I don't heal them. They heal themselves. That's what we teach. And finally, I realized that the soils out there have been so overfarmed, 85% of the nutrients is gone. And there's this whole microcosm, this ecology of bacterium and yeast and certain things and mycelium that live under the dirt and they're so important and they've been killed by tilling and we're farmers and so I didn't know and then the spraying of the chemicals is killing them. So you're eating food that's 85% deficient. It's sprayed with chemicals. This processed food's actually killing 4,300 people a day in America. It's a 9/11 event every day and a half, and it's just people are lining up in the grocery store to do this. They're just walking into 9/11. It's like, oh, you're going to blow up a building? Okay, well, I'm going to go up to the top floor and wait. Kaboom, and then down there jumping out of the windows, and every day lining up, going into it, knowing it's going to, the awareness isn't there, obviously, or they wouldn't do it, but that's what's happening. They're unawareness of walking into this whole situation. So this is very important to understand is that life will come to you and it doesn't have to be always money. There can be other things, but recognizing that money is okay, right? So anyway, I just want to thank you too because you shared your story with me earlier about how you were told, yeah, you can't hear, you need to take a couple days off, and 2 days later they said we fired you because you're not here. To me, like now when I hear these stories, I'm like, ooh, how exciting. Like, what's next? Because like whenever I found something that's so-called AKA negative in my life, there's always been a positive of equal value if I simply pause, create space, get out of my head and look into my heart and look around. It might take a day, an hour, it might take 2 weeks before it shows itself up, 2 months, but it will show itself. And then you're going to be astonished and amazed, like, oh my God, goodness. If that wouldn't have happened to me, then this one, I wouldn't have not met this person, which led to this, which led to that, and da 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 da. And I just had this. So I put this ad out. On I just I said, that's it. I'm going to heal the soil. We're going to start this 100% chemical-free regenerative farm, period. I'm doing it. And I just wrote out this whole thing, put it on Facebook, posted the ad description. People started reaching out. My buddy from a long time ago, he's like, I think my son would like that position. We also have paid intern positions. I'm going full tilt, fire, and then we'll aim later, right? And farmers started reaching out to me. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I'd like to increase my profits 10 to 20% year one, get rid of the chemicals 100%, and reduce water usage by 50%. That sounds good. It's good for better crops, better money, better end product for the consumer. It's all win, 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 win. Better for the planet and our gut, all this stuff. Well, I'm driving home a couple weeks after I write that ad, and I'm getting all excited. I just had Marjorie Wildcraft on my show, and she's 20 years big into backyard food production. And
Okay.
everybody's been telling her she's an idiot because she left her successful real estate investment firm to go help people grow food because she tried to grow food with these other people to feed these children in an elementary school and they failed and she cried. She's like, I have to grow food. So she started following her passion. Well, after having her on her show, I started building up more momentum. I'm so excited. I'm coming home and there's this trailer in front of me on a 55-mile-an-hour highway going very slow, 40, 45. I'm like, oh man, they're probably a family. They're driving real slow. Maybe they're lost. And then finally I zoom around them. But right when I zoomed around, they just kind of pulled over in not a good spot on the road. Okay. Not a lot of room there. And I looked and the one of their headlights was out. And I was like, I had this voice inside of me say, Tim, go back and check on them and make sure they're okay. Right. And I had some stuff to do with my dad. I was taking my dad to dinner, but whatever. So I turn around, I go back and I pull up, and there's this girl with these two dogs. And I was like, hey, are you okay? Do you need any help? And she's like, I'm about to have a mental breakdown. I'm traveling 2,500 miles. Blah, 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 blah. I'm supposed to go home and the freeway shut down. I'm trying to take this alternative route to Tollgate. But I just found out that it's closed too. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I said, hold on, let me pull around here and I can give you directions. And so I pulled over and she walks up to me. And now I have another voice come into my, she walks up to me and I'm like, another voice. I said, are you a biodynamic farmer? I don't know why would I say this?
Yeah.
I say this and she just goes, the expression on her face, she's like, that's all I've wanted to do my entire life. I've been working on all these different farms and I want to grow things and I just want to be in the dirt and I'm tired of this crazy societal stuff and me working and just half the month just to pay my rent at a house that I'm not even at and just it's crazy. And I said, well, you know what? I got this farm. I showed her the post. She literally came to me. I didn't even have to have the ad. She never saw the ad. I said, come down. And now she's here working on the farm. And I couldn't have painted a picture. I couldn't have had the more perfect person show up than what happened. And it was by following my excitement and my joy because I put that out to the universe that I am I am excited about this. And it's like I get chills like this is my life now. This is happening daily with this excitement and not being attached to outcomes. I don't know if she's going to be here 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's staying in that form of being excited, having a joyful life, living a pleasant life, and just taking whatever comes. And it's so remarkable what happens when we get tapped into this frequency.
Well, it becomes one of where we have to build that confidence in ourselves. And I know that for many years, I didn't have that confidence. And when I didn't, things just didn't go very smoothly. I was constantly in that maze. Do I turn right? Do I turn left? Do I go backwards? Or do I just stand here and stare at a wall? But where my transformation happened is exactly like you said at the company when they were telling me, hey, we think you should retire because you can't hear. And it's like, I can hear you as well today as I did yesterday, but okay. When I was forced out, the first thing I said to my husband was, I know what I want to do. And he said, what? And I said, I've been podcasting, but I've only been doing it in bits and pieces. I want to do it full time. And I want people to share their stories with me, and I want to share my stories with them. Because if one person hears it and can make a change in their life, wow, that's made my day. And I don't even have
Yeah.
to know who that person is. It can be somebody on the other side of the world. And sometimes people will write in and will say, hey, I heard that podcast today. I heard what you said. This is what I'm going to do. Not everybody's going to do it your way or my way, but you have to find the way to do it so that at the end of the day, when you really put your head down on that pillow, you have lived your life. And I don't care if it's a day where I've just sat around and binge watched a movie. You know what? That's what I needed to do that day. That's what I did. I put my effort into it and I'm okay with it. But I can get back up and do all the other things that are important to me. And there's not always a dollar sign.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, what else do you do? Because as I looked at this bio, you do more than farming.
Yeah. Well, I was farming as a kid, and it's so funny because my dad made me work my butt off, and then finally I'm like, I'm out of here, and I started chasing the money. And a couple years ago, I bought the farm literally from my parents as they were aging, because I was driving back and forth from Portland, which is like a 4 or 5 hour trip every 2 weeks to come out, help them with what was going on, fix things, fix fence, whatever they needed, and then zim back to the rat race and the maze. And I'm so glad I'm out avoiding the maze now, and because it's crazy with all the tent cities and stuff. But so what I started doing was I so just I'll tell my story. So I had gastrointestinal issues. I had leaky gut. I was eating Tums and Rolaids 24/7, terrible heartburn. I gained 42 pounds. I had mental fog. Being an athlete, I couldn't even run around a track once I couldn't do it. I was like, my skin was gross. I had a huge patch of eczema on my knee that would crack and bleed and stick to my pants. And then it started getting on both elbows, cracking and bleeding, sticking to my shirts. Sometimes I'd have to take showers after coming home as a financial advisor. I remember drawing up on the erase board, and people were like, Tim, you're bleeding, because the elbows would bleed into my shirt. Especially in the winter, it was worse. And I think it was sunlight deal or something. But and it was just painful. And then I started bleeding rectally. So when I would poop, I'd have blood come out. I'd have red blood from anal tears, and I'd have this dark red blood from this internal bleeding. So I had some problems. And I went to the doctor, and the doctors wanted me to take Prilosec, but that sounded weird. And they gave me these medications that, like, one of the side effects of the medication was it causes rectal bleeding. I'm like, I have this. So just in common sense, I'm like, why would I take something that could give me what I already have? This
Yeah.
makes no sense. So I just never took those things. And then and then it got worse. Okay, then I went down to Peru with my wife on vacation. Her dad was a medical doctor from Lima, Peru. He'd never been on vacation in 30 years, complete workaholic. He's really wrapped up in he like helps the government and talk about stuff, and he runs a clinic and sees all these patients. He's just a busy important dude, right? He's on the beach enjoying himself, reading a book. We go out deep sea fishing the next day, and I'm not feeling good. And the captain and him are like, "Oh, Tim's got motion sickness." And I'm like, "No, dude, like, guys, I don't get sick. I've been on the sea all the time in the Oregon coast, went to Hawaii. It doesn't happen. It's not a problem for me." So they ignored me. I got home, I didn't get better. And then he comes over, and then he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" He starts diagnosing me. He's like, "Oh my God, we got to get you to a hospital. You could die. You need surgery." And so we zip down to the airport, but we're in a very remote area. We're just south of Ecuador in a place called Tumbes, which is very remote. I mean, there was nobody around. We missed the one plane flight out of there a day by 20 minutes or so. And he's like, "Geez, we got to get him." So they rented a van because they had to get me to a hospital to get surgery. I could die. And I've been over at a 90-degree angle. I can't walk erect. I'm in so much pain. This 6 hour ride with every bump was like somebody was stabbing me with an ice pick. When I got there, my wallet was soaked in the money inside of my wallet was wet from me, so it was just sweating so much. I was done. It was the most horrible experience of my entire life. I've had many women write in on when I tell the story about how I might be one of the few men on the planet that knows what childbirth is like. So,
Yeah.
like, so okay, I get it, ladies, and it's a lot, okay, and so it's amazing, and I hope it was better than what I went through. But so he didn't want them to do the surgery on me because this place was like old school. Like it looked like the 50s. The instruments, everything looked old. Just put it to you this way. In the examination room, I'm on the table. I'm looking up above me, and there's 100, 200 bugs flying around above my head in the light. And it's like a mash unit, and I'm just like, this ain't good. So they
Yeah.
dope me up with all this stuff, and we put me in a taxi. He books a commercial plane flight, and I'm basically life flighted to Lima, and nobody even knows, on a commercial airline. The doctor, her dad, sat right next to me and watched me the whole time. And they took me in. I got off the airport, another taxi, went right into surgery, and spent the rest of my vacation recovering. And then my wife pushed me back in the United States in a wheelchair. So that's where my health was. Okay. And I'm scared. I'm living in fear. I'm like, this isn't good, you know? And then my friend gets diagnosed with cancer that I told you about that heals himself. We go to this wellness institute in Florida called Hippocrates, and they start teaching us all about detox and nutrition. And it was plant-based, which I was a meat eater, full tilt hunting and fishing. And so I'm like, they blew my mind. And I'm like, so long story short, I did colon hydrotherapy. I don't know if are you familiar with that?
No.
So colon hydrotherapy is just colon water therapy, and you
Okay.
basically set on a tube rectally, and water goes in and out of your colon for an hour, and it cleans you out. And why would you want to do that? Well, one of the first classes they taught was called internal awareness. The average person has 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon today
Oh,
because of the
wow.
processed foods I talked about and the stress and the chemicals. It just the system's not working. And the colon is supposed to be a waste removal system, not a storage tank. And these foods and these synthetics and stuff, they just bioaccumulate. It's like layers of paint. Just keep getting paint on a wall and you have this thick
Wow.
paint that's falling apart. And so I so this guy he was talking about this, and I'm like, I elbowed Charles and I said, "Hey man, I came here to help you, but I ain't doing that deal.
Yeah.
There ain't no way. Remember, I'm the ego guy, still bought into Rest Society. Nobody's touching me down there. That's weird." And then when this doctor got done talking, I mean, he was smart. He knew there was people like me coming. So in his presentation, he had 4 virtual colonoscopies. Now what that is, it's where they take a
Yeah.
camera and go in the colon. The first person was a healthy, or not, there was 3 unhealthy people and one had been on this lifestyle for a while that was healthy. The first one was a woman who was like 24 years old that had like Graves' disease, thyroid issue, and she also had thrush, which is a yeast infection. You
Right.
go into a colon, what do you think you're going to see? Well, my common sense is like, I'm going to see a colon, which is kind of a skin looking deal, and some brown stuff,
Yeah.
right? Well, you go in her colon, it's all covered in white and yellow yeast, complete yeast overgrowth. And I'm like, wow, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look normal. I've never looked in a colon before, but I just assumed I knew it. I knew
Right.
instinctively it didn't look normal. Then they went to a 65-year-old male with stage 4 colon cancer and parasites. And you go in his colon, it's black like tar, black, and with little white worms crawling around. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm crawl on my skin. I'm like, this is horrible. I didn't even know this stuff existed. And the doctor spins around. He's like, and by the way, this guy was very fit. He's like, and he's 50. He just turned 50 that day, and he looked like maybe he was 40. He looked so good. His skin was amazing. So he turns around and he's like, hey, just so you guys know, this parasite thing is not a third world affair. Easily over 50% of you are going to see the parasites exiting out of your body over the next 3 weeks on this program. And he goes, but here's the deal. It's not just the like the tapeworms, the big long ones that you'll see, the pinworms, the hookworms. Some people's stools would be covered instead of brown poop looking, they'd be covered like look like white, like snow was on them. It was all these parasites completely. And so this would happen, and I'm just going, what? Then he's freaking me out. But he goes, all of you. He said, but there's other microscopic ones and amoebas and stuff, and they live in the cells in the tissue. And I said, all of them are drinking your drinks, they're eating your food, they're having sex and laying thousands of eggs and urinating and defecating inside of you and creating more acid into your body because your immune system has crashed and you have to build them up. And I was just like, I'm going to get a colon hydrotherapy session. All I knew is I wanted that stuff out. Okay. So after that guy, then the next one was like a 45-year-old female with breast cancer, inside her colon, dark black tar, a little bit of brown stuff. And then finally they went to the gal that was healthy. You go inside of her colon, you can see the little intestinal villi. It's kind of pink, and there's some brown stuff in there, like I knew it should
Right.
look like.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, so I got it. It's an inside game. Everything, whether I'm telling you, it's not just your health, but it's everything's an inside game. The solutions are inside of us. Period. End of story. We could do a whole day's talk about this because of my experiences that I've been through. So I'm like, I'm going to get that stuff out. The next day, I sign up. I do the colon hydrotherapy session. They weighed me. I did it for an hour. And they weighed me again. I dropped 11 pounds of impacted fecal material in 1 hour session. Now, the
Um,
record at the Institute, over 600,000 people at the time, this was back in 2011 when I was there. One lady had dropped 27 pounds in 1 hour session. Think about this of this disgusting funk and gunk and junk that had accumulated and expanded and pressured out her colon. Her colon was all distended and disfigured. 27 pounds. And me, I'm a very visual person. I hear stuff and I kind of get it, but I need to like the visuals really help me. I think a lot of people, I think 70% of people are
sure.
visual learners. I'm one of them. And so I'm like, what weighs 27 pounds? I thought about like a 25-pound dumbbell that I would work out with. And I thought, God, my dog almost weighs, she's a little bit more than that. It's like a medium-sized dog literally falling out of your butt of disease-causing stuff. And so I'm just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So I kind of went through what's called a Hertz reaction. I had night sweats. I was kind of irritable, especially on the third day. I had a metallic taste coming off of my tongue as the heavy metals were leaving my body through this process. My acid reflux was gone day one, by the way, gone, and I'd had it for years. No Tums, no Roy, just gone. And then I woke up and I was like, God, I hope I feel better. And they said usually day 4 or 5 you wake up and you'll feel amazing. I woke up the next day, Karen, and I felt like I was 18. I could feel energy coursing through my veins and my arms, and my mental clarity was sharp and it was acute. And I looked, and I was 37 at the time, and I looked at Charles. I go, dude, do you feel as good as I do? He's like, yeah, I feel amazing. I go, dude, you're going to heal a cancer. I've talked to all these other people. There's other people that have already healed. They bring their friends back to this place. I thought this place was some woo-woo BS thing. I'm like, how could these, this little podunk place help people with cancer and all this other stuff when there's billions of dollars and race for the cure and we have all our top minds? Well, because it works, because these people understand about how to reduce and respond differently to stress. They understand how to get the toxic chemicals that have bioaccumulated in your fat and your muscle tissue out of the body, and they've learned how to flood the body with nutrients. And that's what it is. And this whole place created a loving space for this. And it was 40 hours a week of education. It was like a re-education camp, re-educating you on being a spiritual human being. And so we came home, and within 60 days, I lost the 42 pounds. The skin issues on my elbows were gone. The other skin issue on my back, I didn't even tell you about, is gone. My mental clarity's back. My energy's back. I start moving my body again. I went from walking the dogs finally to jogging again. And my clothes didn't fit. And my gut felt better. And then within 2.5 years, my friend had healed himself of this cancer. Like literally healed himself. He doesn't have it anymore. And so he revamped his whole life, and he just wanted to be a father. He wanted to see his son Charlie, my kid's friend. Um, he wanted to be a dad, and guess what? He got to see his son go graduate high school. He saw his son he went to Father Son Week at Oregon State University, and his son became a real estate agent and sold Charles's most recent home that he purchased. And he went from cancer, bankruptcy, failed relationship to healthy body. We ran a marathon together, his choice idea, and I supported him. It was the most epic thing I've ever done. And crossing that finish line with him, and I knew he was going to heal at cancer. He got his finances back, great career, and he got a wonderful new lady, and then they're going to have a baby. He's having a second round of kids. And so this is the stuff that's possible when we get all this crap out of our mind and we start focusing on solutions and we associate ourselves with other people that have already had good results. It's like, this is not hard. Find people that were where you were at and go copy what they do and take the stuff that works for you and throw out the rest and just keep improving and keep improving. And you too can heal. And so that's where I'm at today. And I'm really passionate about getting this information out to people because we're just setting on all this unlimited potential. And most people are just like, dude, you understand you're a gift from the universe. And it's like anything is possible with this. You have this body. It's like, get out there and make the most of it. And like, let's go. But people are so dumbed down because they're deficient in nutrients. Most people are walking around on 15% fuel. 85% of the fuel is wiped out of the soil. You have to replace it. And when you do, you come back to life. You take the toxins out of the body, you get your colon cleaned out of all that sludge, and then you start. When I got back, I flipped out. 2 years later, after this process, I typed in these three words: umbilical cord chemical. Umbilical cord chemical in my browser. I heard some podcast or something, and I was shocked. Every single child that they've tested the umbilical cord blood and their young mothers, there was over 400 chemicals they were looking for. They found 71%, 250 chemicals that cause cancer, 212 that cause developmental and brain disorders in the womb. Children are born with cancer causing agents inside of them. Excuse me. And cancer is spiking. It's the number one killer for children now. 1 to 5 brain cancer, and then from 5 to 16 it's like brain cancer and like certain leukemias. This is ridiculous. We have got to wake up as adults and start taking back all aspects of our life. And what I've dedicated my life to do was to start with the health. And then that led me to a spiritual path. So that became very important. And now we're back into the soil farming. So it's this whole cycle, it's a whole circle. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just taking action and I'm trying to be the healthiest, best version of myself and hand out as many permission slips to those listening that if you want to change, there's a place. I will give everything I can to help you. I don't know everything, but if I can be part of your journey and give you some tools, that's what I live for.
Well, you've said everything that we believe in here at New Cleveland Radio. And as we talked about before we went on air, we have a number of shows where I think your message would be very impactful. We do a show that's called How to Super Age, and she totally believes in everything that you're talking about. And she has made me more of a believer. Um, I had to learn about it's probably 13 years when my husband was diagnosed diabetic. You know what? We're not eating processed food anymore. And
Hmm.
yes, there are days that I think, wouldn't it be great if I just went out and got that macaroni and cheese box and made it? It would be easy. But number one, it doesn't taste all that great. Number two, it's not good for either one of us. And I've got to keep him healthy and clean, and I need to be healthy and clean. And I won't say we don't cheat because there are times that we do. We will go out to dinner and we don't necessarily, ask what chemicals are in the food. But I will tell you on a normal basis, we are doing our absolute best and we haven't felt as healthy now. When we were younger, we didn't have as much energy as we have now.
Yeah.
And we're both in our 70s. So it can happen. It can happen. So we're
Well,
going to
that's
hit
great. That's great.
wow.
And as long as you keep growing and just don't set, because here's the thing is like I changed all these things and I got healthier and I'm like, wow, I can't believe how good I feel. I've done it. I've arrived. And then I found out something else. And then I felt better. And then I learned something else and I felt better. Then I got an air purification system. I got better. I got a water purifier. I just kept going down this rabbit hole and I just kept changing my environment, changing the water in my fishbowl,
Yep.
and the fish, me, got better and got better. And now to the point, like, so I've done some stuff where I'm like, there's no way I could feel better. And now I'm like, I'm going to stop saying that. I have no idea how good I can feel. I am just trying to get back to nature. And the more I go back to nature and back to my true natural self, again, unconditional love, and I lead my light from my heart and I get out of my head and stop stacking all these negative things that are so called. They're not negative. They're there to give you contrast. They're like bumpers on a bowling alley. They're there to be like, oh, well, that doesn't work. Thank you very much. I guess I'll go over here and do this. Oh, well, that doesn't work in my life. I don't like having you in my life. I'm going to detox you. Goodbye. And you move on and you want to associate yourself with people that are going to lift you up. And so I just, people like, you have no idea. It's just, but what I've realized is like people have a hard time getting started. There's so much BS and crap out there.
Right.
That's what I like to do is get people started and just get the movement going, get them going up the ladder so we can push that snowball over the hill. And then once we go over the, and then boom, it starts getting, and then they're like me. And then it's like, what else? What else can I figure out? Because like my friend, once you heal yourself of cancer, think about that. If when people get cancer, you live in fear and you're operating out of fear, you're not going to heal. I don't care what disease you have or what you're doing in your life or you're trying to heal a relationship and you're stuck and you if you're living out of fear, you're watching TV, fear, it be very wary of fear. Fear is good if a freaking wild dog pack is chasing you in the woods. You might want to climb a tree. It serves you, but it's not going to serve you when you watch the news and they tell you how everybody in your town's being murdered and they're how all these people are dying around the world and the world's ending. All that's going to do is spike cortisol and adrenaline, and you're not going to go out and run and use up those chemicals that were designed to give you superhuman strength, and they become toxic in the body, and you're literally killing yourself. Turn off the TV, plug in, start reading positive stuff, books, loving yourself, changing your body chemistry. Like, so there's just so much to do. But I mean, I just really appreciate you having me on the show. And if there's anything I can do to help people, that's what I'm here for. And I hope this message resonated with some folks today. And there we go.
Absolutely. So how can we find you?
Probably the easiest way is just our website. Our website is chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com. That free coaching that I do every Wednesday, I'll be doing tonight, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Or is it? No, it's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
I go live on our My Chemical Free Body. It's a live Q&A session. I also have a paid deal, but inside. But I just tell people come to the free thing, and if it resonates with you and you want to go up the ladder, you can. We also have Dr. formulated detox and nutrition products. I've got a couple great doctors. One of them, Dr. Treadway, who was very healthy in his 70s. God rest his soul. He died of a botched up back surgery after there was that, remember that snowstorm we had in Texas a couple years back?
Yep.
He slipped and fell, hurt his back. After a year, he's like, "Gosh, it's just a mechanical thing. I got to go in and get surgery." And then he just died after the surgery. A
Uh,
second good friend of mine died. So Dr. Treadway, though, he'd been 41 years. He's one of the top supplement formulators in the industry from 1819 of the top supplement companies. When I mean top, I mean most sales and product. But I was the only company where I didn't change his formula. All the other ones changed his formulas. And we're talking of a guy that's like he was a military vet, Marine, who went and studied Ayurvedic traditional medicine, that kind of stuff. So anyway, we've got good stuff. We got products to serve people, detox nutrition stuff, and a lot of love, coaching and love. We coach people. We have coaching programs and a lot of free stuff. So my podcast as well, Tim James Unleashed, is we have an episode every week, and it used to be called the Health Hero Show. So sorry for the confusion, but we revamped everything and now it's Tim James Unleashed. So there's a lot of places people can plug in: TikTok, Chemical Free Body; Instagram, Chemical Free Body; Facebook, Chemical Free Body. We're kind of getting out there a little bit. So I appreciate the opportunity to share, and I hope to hopefully be meeting some of these people that we've talked to today.
Absolutely. Well, all that information will be in the show notes. So for those of you listening, do not think that you had to memorize it all. Go to the show notes after you've listened to the whole podcast and connect with Tim. And we will be inviting Tim back to a number of our shows because, I'm a believer and I love what you've had to say today because I've seen a lot of this work for myself, for my husband, and for my son. So thank you again, and we'll talk soon. Have a
My
great
pleasure. My
bye-bye now.
pleasure.